Hello, legends. So, who really runs the world? People believe it's the Illuminati, don't they? People believe it's the Jesuits. Some believe it's the Freemasons. Others, the Rothschilds or the banking cartels. My guest today thinks he has a better idea, and I can't wait to chat with him. So let's get into it. Sam, how you doing, mate?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Yes, I'm absolutely firing.
Good.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I think you're somewhere up north.
I am, yeah.
Are you in Manchester
How
way?
can tell? I am, yeah, yeah.
Yes. Which
It's that
part of
obvious, is it?
which part of Manchester?
Well, it's actually East Lancashire, but I'm not far. I'm not too far from Manchester. Uh,
East Lancashire. There's probably like a
yeah.
war, a historic war between you and them, isn't it? Or
Oh, yeah. There's there's lots. Yeah,
which team do
lots
you
of legends
support?
around you. I support Chelsea. So it's nowhere near. There's nowhere near Manchester.
Mate, you're completely up.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So first off, mate, cheers for like supporting me show and all that. That's
No worries.
bloody. That's always. It's always amazing, really, that people want to listen to your shit. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
But then,
yeah,
to give myself a bit of credit, I have worked a few things out, as you can probably tell.
yeah,
It
yeah.
it does though. There's two
Mm,
ways of looking at this. Yes, there is shenanigans going on in the world,
mm.
and you got a certain president there who's now backed down on everything that he promised. The Epstein
Yeah,
list, Israel,
yeah.
you know, he's back best
Mm,
mates with Netanyahu again, and none of that's going to change. That's all material world living in
yeah.
the lower chakras, the Sodom and Gomorrah, the beast system. It's been the
Yeah.
same since
Thing for time immemorial. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and maybe not time immemorial, but certainly since man invented the wheel,
Yeah.
or fire, perhaps things
Mm,
started to take a different turn.
yeah.
And it's I find it fascinating to understand because I'm
Mm,
interested how they control the energy, and that brings me on to the other thing I was going to say is I'd say to anyone out there, don't get too weighed down with all this because it can get
mm,
depressing. And just
yeah.
live your spiritual battle, and
Mm.
so mate, where do we start? Do you want to tell us a bit about your book and what that's about?
Right. Well, me book's about I basically blend sort of alternate history and what people will call conspiracy theory around a sort of a fictional narrative about a 25,000-year-old immortal man that's battling a demon that's trying to bring in sort of he's trying to end the world basically and bring his boss in and control everything. And it's sort of his journey through from the Atlantean period up to present day. So it features lots and lots of sort of historical events like the Hundred Years' War or up to 9/11 and beyond. Um, yeah.
What's the thing then when you say the Atlantean period? And excuse my ignorance, there's a lot of
Mm,
stuff, Sam, I just don't know. Is
right.
this about like the lost city of Atlantis, or is it something completely different?
Yeah. 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 That's where like my novels start. But there's other
Hmm.
sort of. I firmly believe there was several sort of lost civilizations over the past sort of 150, 200,000 years um, that have just been wiped out by some sort of cataclysm here and there. Um, there's been like lost cities found all over the place. There's even one off the coast of Scotland that's believed to be well over sort of 20,000 years old. There's ruins in the Kola region of Russia. Pyramids been found there. that no one talks about. No one talks about. There's one in the Ural Mountains that was discovered, I think, about 10, 15 years ago, just completely by accident in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean?
And is Atlantis related to the Phoenicians that we hear about, who later have become the Venetians, who relate to the ancient European families that you speak about?
Yes and no. The Atlanteans were they're more tied to Egypt, so they are in fact more tied to that sort of North African, Middle Eastern area more than anything else, and they do tie into the Venetians later on. Um, the European sort of royal bloodlines, I think they track back a heck of a lot further, more to more to what people will call Hyperborea, I think, more than anything else. Um, both sides try and keep themselves though very, very sort of the bloodline's very pure, if you get what I mean. Um, they don't like sort of branching out into what they will call common people. But yeah, like I say, the Atlanteans, they do sort of feed into the Phoenicians and everything
This,
else. Yeah,
just to pick up on a point, but this is to their detriment, though, isn't it? When you see people like Prince Andrew, when he gave that
yeah,
abysmal interview about
yeah,
his sexual misconduct,
yeah.
and he actually thought people would believe that he didn't sweat because of the Falklands War, you could
Mm.
see they're not. I don't think these bloodlines are that. It's a complicated one. They
Well,
don't seem that smart.
no, it's not that they're not that smart. It's just that they don't think we are. Yeah, they have a sort of a very detrimental view of us. Yeah, yeah, because of the way they the European bloodlines see themselves more as divine more than anything else. And like I was talking about Merivek before, yeah. Um, Merivek, the legend goes, his mother was raped by a fallen angel. Yeah, and this is what spawned Merivek in the first place, and he was essentially Nephilim. That's what the legend says. Um, when you fast forward to Charlemagne, who was part of his bloodline, when he sort of effectively unified all of Europe and created the first sort of Holy Roman Empire. So the legend goes he did that in the name of God, and the Vatican actually sanctified it, made it anointed him as the emperor of the Holy Roman Church. Now this supposedly released the exile that his bloodline had going into heaven then, and this made them then divine supposedly. And this is I think that's their mentality from that point. They see themselves as being placed here by God and have divine rule over us. You know what I mean? Um, so they see themselves as better than us, if that makes sense.
Yes. Well, we know that.
Mm.
We are the useless eaters, aren't we?
Well, I wouldn't say that. No, to them we are. To them we are. But I
Sorry,
think we.
sorry. I don't misunderstand me. I meant to them.
Oh right, yeah. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think in many ways we are actually a kind of genetically superior to them because of the way they've been sort of trying
In,
to keep the
in,
bloodline sort of that
inbred.
pure.
Just say it.
Yeah,
It's
exactly,
inbred.
exactly. Yeah, they sort of bottleneck themselves in a way. Yeah, they've not been able to evolve any more than they have. And I think in part ways, I think that's probably why we had the all that problem in from 2020 onwards when I think they were trying to sort of change our genetics in a way, if you get what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, it must be a
Mm,
thing
yeah.
to knowingly bring out some shit that you know is going to absolutely. I don't want to say the word, but people know what I'm
Mm,
getting at. You
mm,
know, and yes, okay, I don't want to
mm,
sort of get ahead of myself here. So going back to
yeah.
the Atlantean thing,
Mm,
um, And let's come on and talk about the merchants, because I really,
Yeah,
you mentioned the Holy Roman Empire and Charlemagne,
yeah,
and my sort of understanding of the Catholicism,
mm.
which is that not the offshoot of the Holy Roman Empire, of the Roman Empire,
Well,
full stop?
the Holy Roman Empire was more. How can I put it? It was more secular in a way, and it was kind of a precursor to Protestantism. Yeah, during the time after Charlemagne, there was sort of like a tenuous sort of alliance between them both, and then that sort of started falling apart after the first lot of crusades in the 1100s. You started getting uh, orders like the Templars and the Teutonic Knights and the Hospitaliers all cropping up to like sort of at first shepherd people from Europe into into like the Middle East and everything else, and all the merchants. So you start getting kind of their sort of banking network being set up, and then it started falling apart after that. I think when the Vatican started realizing that the amount of power they were getting. Now, when you start introducing the actual the Venetian merchants, which are like your Medici's, your Borgias, your Borgheses, your Pallavicinis, Zeno, Bembo, all them, they're like they began in Iran, and they sort of escaped when all the Muslims started taking over the whole of Arabia. They started pushing all of them out of Iran and out up into Europe, and that's how they got to Venice and got to Genoa in the first place. Now they started gathering a lot of power, selling silk and very good shipbuilders as well. You know what I mean? So they started like building all the ships for the merchants that were going out into the Med, gathering all the power from there. But they sort of had a strong sort of kind of a cult sort of background. And I think part of what they were trying to do when they started getting into the Vatican, and they started getting their own popes, started getting their own family into the papacy and taking over, was I think they were trying to, as well as get the money from the Templars, they were also trying to get their knowledge, trying to get what they want, what they had, if you get what I mean. There's actually a pope called Honorius III, and he wrote a grimoire in the 1100s, and it's supposedly one of the most like complete sort of grimoire of rituals and sort of summoning rituals and conjuring rituals that there's been since Solomon wrote his Lesser Keys and Greater Keys. And this was a pope, you know what I mean? He was actually pope at the time when he wrote it. So all this dark magic and corruption is sort of stem from those days. They've gone for the Templars. They've wiped them out in the 1300s. There were several things that happened in the 1300s. There was the like I said, there was the killing of the Templars. The Jesuits were set up. There was the start of the Hundred Years' War between Britain and France, which was a sort of way of trying to split this Holy Roman Empire and sort of get a civil war going, because they were trying to get the British to take the French crown. Yeah. Unfortunately, we lost, obviously, after about 116 years, I think it lasted altogether. Um, so we've had all that going on there. Then, like the Black Death, which was blamed on all the Jewish merchants that were living there. That's how they got them kicked out. They started stealing all their businesses, acquiring more and more and more and more wealth, um, getting the banks even more and more powerful. And then there was just feuds of plenty, basically, from that point onwards. There just have been until I'd say around 1500, 1600, and that's when we had the Savoys, which were one of the Venetian banking families from there, marrying into the Croix family, who were Swiss, and that sort of started linking the 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 Holy Roman Empire into the Vatican again, and that sort of made a truce from there. But it's you had sort of factions within the whole Roman Empire as well, which were like you have your Habsburgs and your Austro-Hungarian Empire there. They were sort of not very happy with it, and then you had another civil war between them both, which lasted for another good couple of centuries. I mean, the Brits we against Habsburgs we fought 7 consecutive wars altogether, right up until around 1720, I think, something like that, which was the Austrian War of Secession that split the Austro-Hungarian Empire after that. But yeah, these families have then just been basically just consolidating themselves and marrying into each other and taking each other's wealth left, right, and centre.
Yeah. So
Mm,
let's not mention the names of these families anymore, because otherwise I'm going to have to go and edit them all out.
yeah,
I mean, it's irrelevant anyway, because Fiduci,
mm,
Fidaci, no one's gonna like remember it.
no.
Um, so how does it relate then to the Phoenicians? What's like? It's a complex timeline, isn't it? And
It is, yeah. Yeah. Um, the Phoenicians, they're sort of. I mean, they were again they were merchants as well, and they have their own sort of their own clique inside the Venetian sort of bankers as well. Yeah, they're all sort of one and the same, if you get what I mean. The Phoenicians, the Iranians, Iraqis, all around that area. They sort of found themselves being pushed out. So as soon as Mohammed started moving himself out and across North Africa and into Spain and everywhere else, he sort of pushed them out and forced them into Europe. Yeah.
yeah, when I look at people's facial structures,
Mm.
yeah, I do try to. You do sort of jump to some conclusion. I did jump to conclude. You do draw certain conclusions. Like when I
Mm.
look at the popes,
Yeah.
I just see merchants. I look
Yeah.
at people that have been handpicked for that
Mm.
role. And
Well,
yeah,
yeah. Go on. Sorry. Go on.
no, and I, as you probably know from watching my show, I totally believe Scripture is allegory. I
Mm.
do not
Yeah.
believe these are actual historic events, and I think if you believe them, you're misguided. But what I think the merchants have done is they've adopted, let's just say,
Mm.
a certain religion
Mm-hmm.
as a total cover for their what has turned out to be a new world order game plan.
Yeah.
Now, there was something, I'm not going to say the full name,
Mm.
but there was something called the protocols.
Mm.
Some people will
Right.
know what I'm talking about, right? And
Yeah.
it, to talk broad northern, it were alleged.
Mm.
See that I said not it
Yeah.
was alleged. It were
Mm.
it were alleged. No, it was alleged that this was the new world order plan. It
Mm.
came from these the merchants. Da, 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 da.
Well.
And then can I just finish?
Mm. Mm.
And then someone did a very good investigation. They dissected it,
Yeah.
and they said if this was the merchants, they wouldn't have written this like this. They wouldn't have
No.
talked about themselves here like in third person.
No.
And what
Mm.
that person concluded was no, this was the European aristocracy who would recognize that the merchants were infiltrating
Mm.
everything, the banks, the
Yeah.
palaces, the
Mm.
churches. They was corrupting everyone's morals and changing it into gold,
Yeah.
usury.
Yeah.
And that the European aristocracy, in an attempt to kind of leak this to the public
Mm.
accidentally, came up with this document called,
Yeah.
the one beginning with
Well,
P.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
had you heard anything like that?
Yeah. But it actually what I'd sort of narrowed it down to myself was it actually originated with the founder of the Thrall Society in Germany. So it is sort of kind of tied tied to the aristocracy. Yeah, you're right. You're kind of right there. He was a very sort of very well educated in Eastern philosophy, Eastern mysticism, um, sort of other philosophies and whatnot. You know what I mean? Before he set up the Thule Society, but he was also a massive anti-Semite as well, and he hated sort of the well, just the wealth that they were accruing. You know, I think he probably saw them as a threat. And then he sort of he based them on kind of sort of ideas that he got previously down the line, and then just sort of generated them from there. Then passed them on to his protege, which was a certain SS leader, and he passed it on to their propagandist, if you get what I mean. And they adapted them further and added to them further, and then when they were defeated, a certain individual in America who founded a neo version of the sort of order got caught by the FBI handing out pamphlets with it on. So then the FBI ended up getting hold of it, and then they've sort of adapted it ever since, and they use it to track and trace movements like that all over the world. And they adapt it to sort of fit modern life. I've got a version of it on my Telegram page, and it comes with all the memos that the FBI have written about it, and when they're changing it and how they're going to adapt it for the internet and everything else. So yeah, it's a well used tool.
Yeah. So the Thule Society, you're saying it was this chap Rudolf von
Sabottendorf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a German occultist.
Yeah.
And a German occultist and people's group founded in Munich shortly after the war, named after a mythical northern country in Greek legend. So Thule was it like some home of the Vikings or something, wasn't it? Or...
Yeah, it's linked to Hyperborea. It's linked to the Hyperborea legends, which is kind of ironic considering that's where most of them probably came from. But yeah, it was. You get things coming out of that like Vril worship and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. So hang on. Keep that in mind, because this is all fascinating. I can't help feeling like we're jumping forward without uncovering the good bits.
Yeah.
So you've got this guy. He was an occultist, so he understood like manipulating the energy, basically.
Yeah.
Or dealing in energy,
yeah.
dealing in hidden knowledge.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
And he recognised that, let's just call it, the money people in Europe they was playing everybody.
Yeah.
And walking away with all the gold. And how did his Thule Society relate to the Nazis then? Sorry. Obviously there was a certain German painter who also...
Yeah, well, it's more through Himmler more than anything else. Himmler, people sort of from what I could gather, the Austrian painter was basically just a mouthpiece for what was behind him, and the people behind him like Bormann, Müller, and Himmler, were basically the brains behind the operation. If you think of the best comparison I can think of is Blair and Brown, whereas Brown had the brains but not the sort of charisma to sort of interact with the public, whereas Blair did, and that's why they made supposedly such a good combination. Blair didn't have the brains, but he had the charisma and the sort of... He knew how to speak to people, if you get what I mean. And Himmler was the same. He was a fantastic orator.
Random one for you then. Do you remember Hello, Hello?
Yeah.
And in this tiny French occupied village that frequented this winery or this it's
a very carefully
cafe bar, and the Germans were represented by one little chap with piggy glasses,
Yeah,
and one bumbling buffoon, wasn't it?
yeah. General von Klinkhofen, weren't it? I think.
Yeah,
Right? Oh, no. Yeah, yeah.
I'm just wondering if that was subtle,
Yeah,
subtle programming there that they were referencing two other characters.
yeah. Well, one of the speeches that the Austrian pater gave at one point, he said that it was just after the Reichstag fire, and one of the lines he gave was that they were going to find out who did it, and no one was above the law, um, not even the Führer, and the law in Germany now was the Gestapo. Now, who founded the Gestapo? It was Himmler. It was Himmler who founded the Gestapo, and he founded the SS, and he was heading it at the time. He actually then passed it on to Heinrich Müller later on down the line to run it for him, whilst he concentrated on the SS and the Anna Nerbe, that were like the sort of the archaeological sort of wing of that organisation. And they went out all over the place looking for occult objects everywhere. Look at the Ark of the Covenant, the Spear of Destiny. They were looking for the Tablets of Destiny at one point as well. I mean, it was more obsessed with the occult than Mustache Man. He really was. Yeah.
The problem is, this is where it gets confusing, because when you just look at Hollywood's version, I mean, Hollywood loves spinning the fucking narrative, don't they? I mean, I was just saying in a previous live show, leave the poor Germans alone. Like, it's not doing anyone any good to keep rekindling what essentially is, it's a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean it's strictly true.
No.
I think we're all kind of getting our heads around that now.
Mm.
And here's the thing. The waters get muddied, because I did a show the other day about the Ark of the Covenant.
Right. Yeah.
The Ark of the Covenant is a bone in the skull. It's called the Spheria fucking Turkia something or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's the area of your skull which houses the pituitary gland.
Mm.
The pituitary is the gland that triggers your nervous system.
Yeah.
So your tree of life, as it were.
Mm.
And it's your thoughts, which are dictated by your pineal, which is whether you're enlightened or whether you live in the material matrix, which then write to the pituitary in this clever kind of torus field that trigger your behavior. So the Ark of the Covenant, which actually looks like two cherubim, two angels leaning towards each other, hence the depiction in scripture with the Ark of the Covenant, it houses your rules, your stone tablets, those that what you live by, right? And it's crazy when you see the lengths that Hollywood have gone to try to get people to think that Moses was real and the Ark of the Covenant, it's out there somewhere. They've even had people in history claim to have found it, and all of this.
Yeah, several. In some ways you're right, but there is kind of sort of I think in a lot, it's like with the Grail. If you look at the Grail, it's more the search for the Grail than the actual Grail itself. If you get what I mean, that is the real sort of the real story, and how it changes a man. And by the time you supposedly find the Grail, you're actually finding yourself and your new self, and that makes you immortal. But then there's other things that have been found here and there that it's like, could that be the Grail that they're on about? Like there's that glass that they found in Rome. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's like sort of red glass. But as soon as you pour liquid in it, it changes colour. Now this has been around for thousands and thousands of years, and it was called magical and everything else, and people believe that was a Grail at one point.
I used to have this magic glass myself, actually.
Yeah.
It were a pint glass, right? And you filled it with this amber liquid, and then it just disappeared. It was
I've had a few of those, I've had a few, yeah.
Can I just come in there and say semen retention?
or Claustrum going down and back. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So one of the ways, folks, if you're out there and you want to boost your spiritual connection and get your
mm,
kundalini really like firing, is to
mm,
stop throwing it all about, if that makes sense. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
as
'Cause
they
it takes 3 days to go down your spine, and then it gets to your sacrum at the bottom of your back. And it stays
yes.
there for 3 days and then goes back up. Yeah.
Yes, there's.
Mm,
I've heard various different interpretations, and I
mm,
can't personally testify to. All I can tell you is I am physically, biologically, chemically different when
mm,
I live my life with a bit of humility, humbleness, and frugality.
mm. Yeah.
When it comes to the the thing we was just talking, like I've almost like completely cut that out of my life.
Mm,
It ceases to be a factor. I
yeah.
used to think it was inevitable that you had urges and that as a
Yeah.
man you had to satisfy them.
Mm,
That's not true. They
no.
completely go away when you get your fucking head together and you get into this
Yeah.
shit that I'm talking about. And does that free up your life? Oh, by fuck, it does.
Mm,
It literally takes a whole load of guilt fucking
yeah.
out
Away
your
from you and
life,
everything.
you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
it has been alleged that that's the holy grail. It's like, is your cup full?
Yeah.
Or do you
Yeah.
keep throwing it about and fucking
Yeah.
empty it? You know?
Emptying it. Yeah.
So fascinating how these, all roads kind of lead to Rome in these chats.
Yeah. I mean, with a lot of the Bible, it is sort of allegorical explanations of sometimes natural processes, but then there's also kind of word of mouth sort of ancient legends that have been sort of passed on as well. And of course, some bits have been sort of embellished and sort of emblazoned, with fanfare. But there's still sort of kind of a bit of basis for some of those stories in there. Yeah, that there were actual real events that have been relayed on like until they were written down. Because there's certain things that they found all over the place that kind of point to these, like certain things, not everything
Yeah.
in it, obviously, but
No,
certain things in real places.
I totally get what you're saying.
Mm,
And I think and I'm not, sort of taking a stance here, but I would also want to suggest that when you live in an echo chamber, everything echoes back at you,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So if you believe that, like, for example, I don't believe this is the first time round for human civilization,
no, it's not.
right?
No,
Or civilization, right?
no,
I also don't believe that we come out of Africa like
what we didn't.
40,000 year ago, right?
No,
I think I think our actual heritage as the human species, whatever we
mm,
were, goes back billions, right?
mm,
Just for the sheer fact change is so subtle and
yeah,
incremental in us, you know. You
mm,
can go back 10,000 years, we looked exactly like this. So
mm,
how come we only come out of Africa and we were black with frizzy hair 40,000 years? That make no sense, right?
no,
And if I believe that we've been here before, and then
mm,
someone comes up with a hammer that they found in
yeah,
in
millions of years ago. Yeah,
Siberia,
mm,
and the date on that hammer predates the Bronze Age when we started to make
yeah,
hammers. Obviously, that feeds into my narrative, and it's very
mm,
easy for me to say, "Oh, there you go." But
yeah,
then, of course, it also denies you the looking at other sort of possibilities. When you go
mm,
to Israel, for example, have you been in Israel?
no, no, I've not been to Israel. No,
Oh, it's an
no.
interesting place to go. But
Mm,
literally, you'll be driving along in a taxi, and the taxi driver will go, "All right, you see over there, that's
mm,
where David fought Goliath, right?"
yeah.
And it's great
But
for
how do
the,
you know? Yeah,
you know, it it
yeah,
it doesn't explain that David represents love,
mm,
that Goliath represents ego, like the
mm,
big man who
yeah,
lords it about, and
mm,
the small person who's got his head together. He
mm,
understands love is the highest vibration. He
mm,
takes 5 small pebbles,
mm,
representative of the 5 senses,
yeah,
and he takes them out. So basically, once you take away your senses and stop living in the material world, you connected with spirit.
Your
Right?
spirit, yeah.
And where does he hit the giant? In the pineal gland. It's like, wouldn't it be a fucking amazing coincidence if this story of enlightenment, actually there was a guy called David that fucking lived and he picked up 5 peppercorns. It's like the fucking Truman Show. It's unbelievable. So I kind of get it, you know, but when they're looking for the ark, I think you'll find that 40 days in scripture represents a period of not so much tribulation, but wandering in the wilderness.
Yeah, so
you know, we all were in the wilderness before we found the light. For me, it were drugs and, you know, travel and bad behavior. For other people, it can be depression, anxiety. But interesting. I'm not saying that some factors in scripture can not be real, but the danger there is once you start believing that the land of milk and honey is an actual fucking place, and you kick out all the people that are living there, and then you bomb the rest of them to death. Then you can see where it's kind of not helpful, you know. So, Sam, fascinating chat. I've written some notes down here. Let me just see so I didn't go and forget. So the Charlemagne Trophy. Yeah. This is still in operation today, isn't it? This is...
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
This is a trophy that's sponsored by those kind of persons, let's say, that would be a part of the World Economic Forum, that type of... Yeah. And it was come up with in a small German town, I believe, or an Austrian town. And it's presented to the person whose actions most unify Europe.
Yeah, it kind of, it sort of steals his sort of limelight in a way, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's the kind of trace. It's like there's like the Scandinavians, the Swedes have, you know, we have a chivalrous orders in the UK, where we have the Order of the Garter and the Order of the Bath. Well, the Swedes have sort of the same. They have the Order of Vasa, the Order of the Sword, the Order of the Seraphim, and the Order of the Polar Star. Now, interestingly enough, the Order of the Polar Star is for is awarded to people who've done something in service for the Swedes and for Scandinavia. And it just so happens that Bridget Macron is part of the Order of the Polar Star. So is Keir Starmer. And when he did his, I don't know if you've seen a picture of him doing his little sort of, his little pentagram. Yeah, there's a black and white picture of him doing the pentagram. Yeah. Now people say that's a Masonic symbol. It kind of is, but it's more linked to that Polar Star organisation he was showing off, basically. So it makes you think, well, what has Britain done for the Swedes? And then you realise that all those families, or all the sort of the royal lineages all stem from that sort of, from that area. They're like where most of the most pure are left. And it's like, it all starts coming together then.
Right. So let's set the scene here. So we've got these, let's call them ancient bloodlines, families, the Merovingians you mentioned. Let's not say the other names just for the sake of getting pulled for slander. Clearly, they've come down through the ages and kept the money in their bloodline. I mean, that's what they do. Money is power, power's wealth. They're not just going to give it to anyone. This is why you get people like Tony Blair, that it turns out he's the third fucking cousin to the Queen and stuff like this, isn't it? Or David Cameron or some such scenario.
Yeah.
Now, then you've got your public. And no disrespect to the wonderful, wonderful public, but they are thick as dog shit, aren't they? I mean, all you got to do is wave a football and half of them are fucking lost.
I call them free-range lab mice.
Yeah, hold up a bottle of wine, and the other half,
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
got the other half. And I'm
yeah.
being facetious, folks. I love football.
Mm.
I've drunk more wine than you ever will, believe me. Well, more beer anyway.
It's all bread and circus, though, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, bread and
yeah.
circus is what we're saying.
Mm.
So we get this. Then we get that these lines go back to ancient Egypt
Hmm.
and Iran,
Hmm.
Persia, which was the cradle of
Mm.
civilization at one point, and Iraq. You had your Babylon.
Well, that was one of the cradles. Like the the thing is, like we didn't come from when you were saying we didn't come out of Africa. That's right. We've actually got evidence now that we didn't. Yeah. The sub-Saharan Africans and West Africans are as far apart from each other as we are to chimpanzees. Yeah, basically, and the northern tribes, us, are as far apart from both of them as again as we are from chimpanzees. We all seem to stem up roughly around the same time, but taking different evolutionary trees and still coming out the same. We've you've got sort of species like the Denisovans in sort of the very far north of Russia. You've got the Neanderthals here, and then they say there's another ghost species that may have interacted with us as well, that maybe came from just a bit further south in Europe. But they found skeletons that are like 700,000 years old that are nothing like Homo sapiens down here, and are a mix of Denisovan and Neanderthal and look like we do. It's all very, very, very weird. But the fact of finding these everywhere now lately, Greece, off the coast of Britain, you know what I mean? So they even the guy who was actually who was one of the biggest proponents of the out of Africa theory turned around and said it's all wrong. We got it all wrong. This isn't how it turned out. So what we've been taught about, even just our early beginnings, is completely wrong. It's completely wrong.
Yes. So going back to my scenario, you've got these ancient bloodlines. They've come out of places of power to
Yeah,
settle wherever. I'm guessing to settle
yeah,
where they could most use their influence and accrue the most gold.
mm,
They're controlling, the great unwashed.
yeah.
And how are they doing it then? Are they occultic? Have they brought secret knowledge down through the ages?
Yes, basically, yeah.
How does it
Um,
relate to the Catholic Church, to the Jesuits? Are these just all sort of offshoots of a central?
yeah, they're all sort of part of a central theme. But religion is basically just a tool of control, if you get what I mean. That's all it's meant to be used for. It's meant to basically keep us in line, and keep us in a certain mindset. Yeah, that you came from this and you came from that, and this is why you're not special, if you get what I mean. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, so
but
I
yeah,
mean, for
yeah.
our friends listening, you've got Washington there as the head of the military industrial complex. That's to
Well, it's
keep.
political. Yeah, it's political and enforcement, and then City of London is banking, and then Vatican is religion and spiritual.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
got you. And all control. I mean, when you look at the architects of Project for
Mm,
New American Century, for friends out there, why do I keep mentioning this? That the Project for the New, if you don't understand Project for the New
mm.
American Century, they called them the neocons, which is,
Yeah.
just another euphemism, I think,
Mm,
got to
mm.
be careful what I
It's just to
say.
hide what they are. Like they're all
Yeah,
one and the same. Yeah.
and
Mm,
then you look at the Catholic Church
mm.
and you see that same hand at play.
Yeah.
And then you look at City of London,
Mm. That little 1 mile sort of area. Yeah.
then you could see what I guess what I'm struggling to make a link here. Would
Well,
would you say these these bloodlines, these
mm,
families, are they merchants or are they royalty, or are they a combination of the two or something
They're, com-
else?
they're a combination of the two. Yeah, there's a reason why you've got these three sort of hubs. Yeah, in the world that are states within a state, which is basically Washington DC and City of London and the Vatican. There's three pillars to society, to have an effective society. One of them is political leadership, yeah, and a way of enforcing laws. Another one is finance or trade, yeah, which is what gives you your merchants between each other and the outer people. And then your third one is a sort of spiritual belief that gives you your morality. And from those three pillars, everything else stems. So all your education, all your police forces, all your science, everything else stems from them three sort of pillars. If you can control just those three pillars, you can control everything else from that, which is why they have those three hubs. They're sort of the control centers for those three sort of pillars, and from there everything else stems, all your education, all your finance system, everything.
Just remind us those three pillars so we can get it in our heads.
Right. So you've got your political or leadership laws, yeah, and enforcement. Then you've got your finance or trade, yeah, and then you've got your spiritual or religious.
Yes. Yeah, and it's all
Yeah,
it's all hooky cooky in it because the finance is basically money lending
yeah,
or form of it, which is always going to end in slavery for all of
yeah,
mankind.
for everyone. Yeah,
You got your
mm,
religious, which is keeping people locked in their animal lower self by
mm,
hiding spirit from them, which is the
yeah,
real meaning of the scripture.
yeah,
And did you say the political?
yeah. Political and laws which are enforced by people like the military. Yeah,
And the political is just all a massive facade of bullshit because
yeah,
none of them are leaders, they're all
no,
puppets.
yeah,
None of the laws that they push are actually, moral law,
more,
God's law.
no.
They're just fucking made up shit on, is it
Mm.
Navy law or maritime law or something?
Maritime law, yeah, which was also invented by the Venetians. That's who invented the maritime law.
Because they were a seafaring race of
Yeah, exactly.
traders. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Gosh.
I mean, what they've done is, like I said, they've taken those three pillars and they've inverted them. So they do the opposite of what they should be doing. Yeah, they're not a benefit to society anymore. They're now the inverse. They're more of a tool of control more than anything else, a way of controlling vast populations. But it's all one and the same.
Yes. Okay. So, next question. How
Mm.
does this relate, or does it relate, to the black nobility?
The black nobility are the Venetian bankers. Yeah, the sort of well, the Venetian bankers and the sort of the papal princes from way back in the day. I mean, Italy didn't exist until around, I think, 1850, 1860. Yeah, it was just a lot of papal states before then, and it had their own sort of dukes and princes that were also coincidentally um, married into these Venetian, but the Venetian bankers and everything else, and also had their own sort of banks, and they make up what is officially known as the black nobility.
Yeah, and excuse my ignorance. What does a papal? What is a papal state? What does papal mean? Is that to do with a pope?
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I mean, Vatican City is in of itself a sort of a new idea as a state within a state. If you get what I mean. Before then, it actually controlled all of Italy.
Yeah.
Mm,
Got you. Got you. So you got these bloodlines that have come down. They've kept the money to themselves. They've kept
mm,
the intermarriage,
yeah,
all that. Off, they're a combination of old money, old blood,
yeah.
and the merchant blood. Merchants can
Mm.
be, I think,
Well, these merchants as well. You have to. They kind of see themselves as sort of because of the area where they come from, which was basically sort of that Babylon area, like Iran and Iraq sort of area. They kind of see themselves as well as sort of being divine in their own right. Yeah. So they sort of kind of an equal to the actual sort of Merovingian bloodlines, and that's why they sort of combine themselves together to make sort of one divine sort of rule.
Well, they're hand in glove, aren't they? The
Yeah,
bloodlines
exactly,
can't
exactly.
keep
Yeah.
their money unless they buddy up with the
Well,
merchants.
yeah. Well, but the merchants also needed the armies of the royal bloodlines, so that's why they sort of interfused together.
Not just the armies, the churches,
Yeah,
the
exactly, exactly.
brainwashing,
Yeah,
the phony politicians to push their fake
yeah,
wars so they can push their central banking
yeah.
system.
Well, this is how they get. This is how they keep the money. They'll find a scapegoat. They'll start elevating people. Yeah, especially the people that they want to take the fall. Yeah, they'll get them gathering loads and loads and loads of wealth, and then all of a sudden they'll collapse it. The scapegoat will take the blame. They'll get either wiped out or driven away, and they'll sort of soak in all the money and all the power. Wait till the dust settles, come back and start again. And they've done this for centuries, centuries. They're doing it now again, right as we speak. We're sort of at the sort of end part of that cycle that they keep doing over and over and over and over and over again, where they'll lift us up, they'll let someone take the fall, they'll take the money, they'll come back again, they'll start again. And they've elevated the Jewish people, they've elevated the Cathars, the Templars, the Muslims. They just keep repeating that cycle. Once you start seeing the pattern, you start seeing that they're doing the same again, getting sort of engineering the next scapegoat when they do it again, which is the Muslim population. Which is kind of scary, really.
Yeah, without sort of saying anything that's going to get us in trouble.
Mm.
Friends at home, I'm not afraid to say stuff that gets me in trouble. I've done it all my life. It's just
Yeah.
there's no point getting kicked off this platform.
No.
What does that serve?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
going to mean that you're
Yeah.
not going to know this shit. So we just got
Mm.
to be careful what we say. When you say with respect to the M thing, how do you mean? Like you mean the stirring the pot, the mass?
Yeah, the stirring the pot, the mass immigration, the sort of the favoritism towards that side. The way they're doing things at the minute, there's only one way they can actually get a one world sort of system in. Yeah, which is what they're aiming for. I think everyone can see that, the CBDCs and the digital IDs and everything else. They can't do that with a war thousands of miles away in the Middle East. Yeah. Not everybody is going to be willingly on board. Yeah, they're still going to have a lot of pushback against it. Whereas if you have a sort of, shall we say, war against each other,
Yeah.
yeah, on our own sort of backyard, eventually people are going to want something, anything, just to end the madness. And you can see this being engineered in every state and every sort of city and every nation around the Western world, especially.
And when they want this solution to end the madness, is that a hint at the digital passport that they're
Yeah,
trying to bring
yeah.
in?
It's all the digital control grid, all the digital control grid. Yeah, as
Yeah.
well as sort of AI governance as well. At the end of the day.
And more surveillance, because now,
Yeah,
I mean, it really is not as safe to go on the streets now as it used to be,
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
especially in certain, probably more up your way than down mine, because
yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, it's an interesting one.
Mm,
I'm still on the subject of this mass immigration.
mm,
I know that Tommy's been doing his gatherings,
yeah,
but obviously he plays that card with one hand, and then with the other
mm,
hand, he then totally backs a
yeah,
certain country in the Middle East.
mm,
Not helpful to only understand half the picture, you know,
yeah, yeah. I know what you
or
mean.
to put half
Mm,
the picture across. If you don't understand how a certain banking family created that country in the Middle East so that they could hide behind it for their new world
mm.
order.
There's actually more. There's more to it than just that certain banking family. And this involves the people that do actually control that little sliver of the Middle East, and that's a completely different family. And the banking family
Don't
did
say
it
their
for.
name,
No, I
but
won't. I
but
won't. But they did it specifically for this family, and they've had the ear of every single president of little sliver of land ever since.
And this is one of the families that you've been alluding to, one of these
Yeah, yeah,
ancient bloodlines.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
actually control all the opium trade, all the opium trade. They have done since 1820.
Yes.
Mm,
And, when you look at Afghanistan, I mean,
yeah,
gosh, I used to be so naive. If I'd been a serving
mm,
when Afghanistan was about,
yeah,
I would have gone there. It wouldn't have occurred to me that all this wealth in the opium,
yeah,
the
yeah,
heroin trade, it wouldn't have occurred to me that there's a whole thing going on there just
yeah.
in
Just for that.
itself.
Yeah,
In
yeah. I mean,
its
it's because the Taliban stopped growing it. They told everyone to stop growing it, and that it's the only. Well, there was only two places after around 1940, 1950 that were actually growing it in sort of vast quantities, and that were Vietnam and Afghanistan. Yeah, and then when the Vietnam War started, that's one of the reasons why the CIA was sort of meddling in the affairs of that country, trying to keep that opium sort of crop growing. And the Viet Cong stopped them from the Southerners from growing it then, and then Afghanistan became sort of the sole area where it was grown. Yeah, and it was all
yes,
people say it was for the Bushes that they went in for that opium, but it wasn't. It was for that family that controls
yeah.
that little area.
Not
Yeah.
overlooking the fact that the Bush family made their money on
Oh yeah.
opium and also
And
slave labor in a certain camp
yeah,
in Poland.
yeah, and a certain amount of money that they got from a certain party whilst they were funding them from America as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Roger, Roger.
Prescott. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm,
So move on then. Let's bring it on to the energy battle that's
mm,
going on. I'm I'm in one of them stages at the minute, Sam, where I'm having like me breakthroughs all the time. That
mm,
sort of thing when you start doing the. And
yeah.
what I'm finding is all of this trauma stuff, this horrible narrative, this stuff, and
Mm,
also my own behaviour. It's
mm,
like someone's holding a mirror up to me all the time,
yeah.
and they're saying, "Chris, if you don't want, opium wars and
Mm,
rich bloodline and being a slave to
mm,
material wealth and the porn industry and the fucking fictitious
mm,
Hollywood bullshit,
yeah.
what are
Hold on one
you?
sec. I'm just going to let me cat out. Hold
Yeah, I'm thinking like, Chris, what are you doing about it? Because
Yeah.
you can't change the old world, but you can start with yourself. And please, folks, don't think this is insignificant. Because when you look at the story
Mm,
of like JC or Krishna or Buddha, they was just
mm,
one person that had massive influence. Sadly, the merchants have, not so much
wait,
the Buddha story, but the
mm,
other wonderful allegory, they've subverted it into fanciful fairy tales
yeah.
that sadly
Yeah.
people will go to church, sing all that stuff, not have no idea what they're talking
What they're
about,
doing.
right?
Yeah.
Even like Amen, Amun, dates,
Amun Ra. Yeah.
yeah, Amun Ra, but
Mm,
that's the masculine of the feminine.
mm,
So when I'm looking in this mirror, I'm thinking, Chris, you got to start fixing your shit. And I know what's wrong because the angel or the devil on my shoulder always tells me what I'm doing, what I shouldn't be
mm,
doing. I know. I bet when you puff on that thing,
yeah.
he's whispering in your ear, really?
Oh, yeah.
You know? What
Yeah.
and what it's made me do, Sam, I'm not
Mm,
trying to be like goody goody. I was off my head
mm,
every day for pretty much 35 years,
mm,
right? I have no fucking got a few regrets. Did some stupid shit and upset
mm,
people, but in overall, hey, it's life experience. But
mm,
here's the thing: me focusing now on the areas that I need to improve,
mm,
it has meant one thing. It's meant looking at my childhood trauma. And when I say
yeah.
mine, I'm talking everyone has this to
Yeah.
varying degrees.
Yeah.
Everyone has coping behaviors, whether it's porn, overeating, battering the wife or the husband, or shopping. And if you're willing to look behind that or into that mirror, you'll find out that it's a trauma. You're self-medicating.
Yeah.
With
to
chucking your own
hide it.
dopamine up there or you're scrolling or whatever. And once you fix these things one by one, the other stuff just doesn't seem such a load of shit. No disrespect to Israel and Palestine, but I can't do fuck all about what's going on over there other than do my part with my life. And when you do that and you focus on yourself, you stop projecting your childhood trauma onto Israel or onto the Rothschilds or onto, because you have the power to right your injustice and what you've been through for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And if everybody would do that,
the world would be a lot better. That sort of positive energy does project out and into your into your circle around you, if you get what I mean. Once you start doing that, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
because what this dark network are doing, whether we call them merchants or whatever euphemism we're going to use today, and that's a difficult one in itself. I'm not stupid, folks. I fucking know who's behind this. It's pretty bloody obvious unless you're blind. However, you cannot tar everyone with the same brush, because that just becomes equally problematic to the fucking nice people out there who've done nothing to no one, right? And it becomes divisive. But here's the thing.
Well, this is another thing. They want that. That's what they want. They want that division. So they do paint them all with the same brush. So then you are sort of looking at that. Just you see them as a whole rather than just a tiny fraction. If you get what I mean? That's actually doing it. Yeah.
It's like, let's just say you've got school teachers all up and down the country, and let's just say that 35% of those school teachers are fiddling with the, doing stuff that they shouldn't. It's not helpful then to come out and say all school teachers are, reprobates. Because all those ones that aren't are going to turn, especially if they've been put in victim mode by the historical narrative, they're just going to turn around and look at you and they're going to get defensive. And they're going to, and then when people are defensive, they're in their ego even more. So you've got victim mode in their ego. What do people do? They shut their ears, don't they? They don't want to
put the walls up. They don't want to see.
But going back to the narrative, Sam, the reason I talk about this energy battle and getting your own shit in order is that is the only way they're playing us. They're playing us through our trauma. That's it. If you go out the house in the morning and go, do you know what? I don't need a fucking Ferrari. I'm going to stop slaving away for it. Do you know what? I don't need to go on 6 holidays a year. I can just be happy going camping in Cornwall. I don't need to, be a part of a smutty online industry that degrades women. I can, that I have that. I can take that away from them. I don't have to believe in sort of hate narratives, and so I just wanted to get you. Sorry, I am aware I'm talking a lot, Sam, but
all right.
I knew this would be one of them conversations where I'm looking to your knowledge to kind of not validate mine, because I think mine's sort of heaven sent or divine sent, but to try to get like some connection here so it helps the people watching is what I'm trying to say.
I know what you mean. I mean, everything at the end of the day, no matter what you're looking at, it all connects into each other, and it all boils down to spirituality and energy at the end of the day. When push comes to shove, like everything from UFOs to aliens to occultism, secret societies, everything. It's all energetic and all spiritual. It's always a spiritual war.
Yes, absolutely. Because I just wanted to bring this show to a close with some practical advice that people can do. And do you think, let's be honest, do you think people project their own traumas onto this narrative? This is why people get so upset about the medical shit and the nine.
Yeah, yeah. I think in a lot of ways we are. I think society as a whole, or speaks in a genetic sort of sense, we have a lot of trauma as well that we're not really sort of privy to in a lot of ways. All the catastrophes and wars and everything else that we've waged with each other over the centuries sort of gets entrenched into your DNA, and that passes on sort of trauma, sort of generational trauma, and then you have your own on top of that as well that feeds into that, and it's just a sort of never-ending sort of feedback loop in a way. Yeah.
All right, next thing then. So getting back to our point of earlier, that civilizations probably come and go. And it ain't quick. I'd say it could be billions of years in between and billions of years in the making.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe one day there will be talking fucking elephants.
Yeah.
You know.
Just don't know, do you? Yeah. Yeah.
Then where are we going as a society? Because when I look outside my front door, I see the Sodom and Gomorrah, and this is not. I don't give a shit. I'm not fucking judging people here. I've had a good life. I could go today and I wouldn't give a damn. I've got family, obviously, so it is a bit of an issue. But if I was a single person, I'd watch what's going on and I'd probably laugh. And like George Carlin said, when the apocalypse comes, he's going to get himself a nice seat on the mountain and watch everyone burn in hell, and he's going to laugh his fucking ass off because you lot, we told you, right?
Told you, yeah.
And so you look out there, right? You got the people that think they're being pragmatic by buying an electric vehicle. Right? No clue that thing desecrates the environment, and
It costs more carbon to make it than it does to actually.
You've got this utter ludicrous thing. I'm just going to say it in society. This ludicrous thing that people think somehow desecrating their beautiful body with these tattoos that looks like you've given a child a box of crayons, said, "Wait, decorate me," and then you've gone down the tattoo shop and said, "Could you put that in ink, please?" Right? And I've got a tattoo, folks. This is not a judgment. I'm just saying we've got so far away from appreciating our natural divine beauty, and so much into the ego of what do I look? Do I look like Jake Paul? Can I take some more?
Or the Bogdanovs. I don't know if you've ever seen them. The Bogdanov brothers. I think they died a couple of years ago, and they look like. You ever see a film called Mask with Cher in it?
Yes, I did.
Well, in fact, Madonna now looks like the Bogdanov brothers. She really does.
Tell me more. I'm fascinated. Bogdanov.
Bogdanovs, yeah, they were French aristocracy, yeah, but or part of the French aristocracy, and they've had loads of scientific papers written about them. They had their own kids' TV show doing like about science. The twins, like two brothers, both dead now, but they've had so much work done. Like they're just looking incredible. Oh, have you found them?
I found them, mate, and this is my point. You're not going to get happiness by doing that shit to yourself.
No.
Or tattooing yourself. I'm not saying don't have tattoos if you want a tattoo, folks. I fucking love The irony is I really love tattoos. I love the history behind them. I just think you got to be really, really careful. Get a good one, and then you can call it art. Getting any old shit splodged all over you because you fucking got pissed in Ibiza is...
yeah. I mean, some people, you're reading them, you're not looking at them. It gets me. Like, they've got that many sort of tattoos. Yeah.
So you got people now, and I'm talking about all of us here, folks. You know,
Mm.
we overeat, we
Yeah.
over sex, we overindulge, we fucking drink a lot of people
Mm.
drink every day now. Um, we we glue to a false god, which is the box in the
Mm.
corner of the room, or
Yeah.
church or whatever. How can we come back from here? I mean, I've already explained how we come back. There's only one way, and that's you save yourself. That's fucking, and
Yeah. In some ways, I think we already are. There's a reason why these certain things in the Middle East keep all of a sudden kicking off, and it's usually when we're sort of unifying around one certain point. Like October 2023, everyone was unifying across all lines, and then all of a sudden that happened. They split everyone down the middle, and then as soon as everyone started, when Trump started doing his stuff in the US, kicking all the migrants out, it started turning out that everyone was for him doing it pretty much. Yeah, that even people in the who were Democrats, who called themselves Democrats, were all sort of for him getting rid of all these illegals. So they had sort of trickles of paid protesters coming out and trying to ruin things. That didn't work. So then all of a sudden it kicks off with Iran and this certain sort of sliver of land in the Middle East. But these things seem to be happening quicker and quicker. We seem to be getting back together, seeing what the plan is, seeing what they're doing, and then all of a sudden they try and split us down the middle again and again and again and again. And I think people are sort of subconsciously starting to get wise to it. I think starting to get wise to it as more and more go on.
is there an end to it though? While we still continue to, I'm going to use the word rake the planet of all its natural resources, and we've built lives of luxury
Mm,
or perceived luxury based on destroying the planet. I can't see. I picture the end of this movie. Right, this was a
mm,
Hollywood movie, not a Hollywood movie. This was a decent movie.
mm,
The end of it would be somebody looking at a fire kit, like your bow drill
mm.
or the wheel,
Yeah,
and throwing it to one side and then walking off into the forest
yeah,
to completely be like, that didn't work. That
mm,
agricultural lifestyle, the technology, the industrial
yeah,
that didn't do us any good. Let's go and be as one. I know it's an ideal scenario. I know for a start you'd have to go somewhere warm because otherwise you'd
yeah,
die of hypothermia. You'd also
mm,
have to go somewhere where like the other 8 billion people on the planet or 13 billion
mm,
aren't. But
yeah.
do you get what I'm saying? What? It, no one's going to give up their creature comforts, are they?
I don't think we're going to need to. There's there's lots of I don't know if there's a guy in America and he's figured out how to basically melt plastic down into diesel and you use it as diesel. Now, obviously, they've tried killing him twice, but he's still managed to get it out there. He's taking all the waste plastic and just refining it down. So people are coming up with new ideas that don't actually that aren't as harmful to the planet anymore. If you get what I mean. Yeah, we're finding better ways of using the materials, better ways of recycling materials. Like the Japanese, or is it the Chinese? So the Chinese, the Japanese, all the sidewalks they're made out of recycled rubber, but they all generate electricity. Like as people walk over the top of them. That's another thing, another way of using like reusing tech and using a tech. So we are finding sort of ways that don't destroy things, and I think that's one of the main attributes of these people at the top. The more into destruction than they are into actually. I don't think it's a money thing anymore to them. It's more of just chaos and death more than anything else. Like look at a person like Bill Gates who wants to kill off half the planet for no reason other than he's a selfish wanker and sounds like Kermit. Yeah, it's just. But like I said, I think he is a dying breed. I think he is. He is like most of them are. I think at the moment we're being run by paraplegic monkeys steering an oil tanker around the whirlpool. You know, they're getting to that end point now where they're gonna go down the hole, I think, and then, but there's gonna be a lot of chaos before that point, because they won't want to relinquish power like willingly.
The problem is, do you get it though, that if people don't adopt this, I hate to use the word spiritual approach because it sounds so wank, and I totally get that. What I
Yeah,
mean is, if people don't take charge of their biochemical mechanism, if they
yeah,
don't fire off that, kundalini and ignite the pineal,
mm,
I think that is the revolution.
yeah.
I think
But
a lot of people out there, Sam, have still got this notion that all the veterans are suddenly going to get
yeah,
together and overthrow the fucking Reichstag,
yeah,
and
yeah. I know what
and
you mean. That's that's not how I see it though either. I see it as more of a spiritual thing. There's certain there's certain people out there that sort of resonate that sort of positive aura, if you get what I mean, and that they channel that into those around them. They kind of, I think of them kind of like antennas, if you get what I mean. Yeah, they sort of they bring people up and help people around them just by being present, and we're getting more and more of that kind of person. Yeah, more and more coming into the limelight. You can feel it more and more, even though there's loads of crap going on and everything else, and it's trying to bog you down. You can still feel that sort of that positive energy sort of in the background, sort of worming its way in. So I don't. I mean, some people think that we're lost. I don't think we're lost at all. I think we're winning. It's just that we're not hearing about it yet.
the
Yeah.
thing is, if we're winning, it's got to be against ourselves, because there is only the
Mm.
one. There is only the one organism, the one
Yeah.
system. We are the God. We're the good and the bad. This is
Mm.
why I talk about looking in the mirror, as if, it's all a
Mm.
representation of. It might be that these like merchants and that, and these greedmongers, they're actually doing you a favor, because
Yeah.
they're demonstrating not just all what's wrong in the world,
Mm.
but they're putting the ball in your court and saying, what are you going to do about it?
Well, this is something that Carl Jung talks about quite a lot. Like your shadow self, the way your hate for somebody or your disdain for somebody is actually you projecting out something that you hate within yourself. Yeah, and to sort of get over that sort of prejudice, you need to look within rather than look without. So yeah, it's a, kind of the same sort of thing. Yeah, yeah. I,
Yes.
to- I totally get that. Totally get that. Yeah.
Listen, Sam, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. This has been one of my most enjoyable chats ever.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed myself as well. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
mate, it's
Mm,
all the stuff that I like to get my head around.
mm,
And you've also let me speak, which I really appreciate.
mm, mm.
Are you going to come back on the show and we'll have another yap at some point?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Brilliant.
Definitely.
And
Yeah. All right.
I've been showing your dun, 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 I've been showing your Twitter.
Mm,
There we go, folks. Jump on board.
mm,
There's Sam's. We'll put the link below. Don't worry.
mm,
And been showing your book,
mm,
which is available on Amazon.
mhm,
And I just want to say on a personal note, thank you everybody out there who supported my Mount Everest summit next
mm.
April,
Oh.
in order to shine a light for our struggling veterans, to
Mm,
highlight the complex nature of PTSD and all the
mm,
stuff that's not being talked about. Everyone's a bit sort of brainwashed with these Rambo movies, that they think PTSD is just something on the battlefield. And I'm here to say it's a lot more complicated than that with us
yeah.
veterans, as you probably, anyone who's watched my show will gather. If you can
Mm,
chuck a fiver to that, folks, there's a link below. And also, I don't know if you'll see this by the time this podcast airs, but I'll be the opening act at the Thetford Truth and Freedom Festival on Saturday the 19th of July and Friday the 18th of July. And yeah, that just leaves me to say, please like and subscribe, folks. That'd be absolutely awesome. Thank
yeah.
you to all of our Patreons, our locals
Mm,
paying members, and our YouTube channel members.
Right.
Couldn't do this without you.
Well, thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it, mate. Much love to you, Sam. Much love to everyone out there. See you all soon.
Yeah.